Good day, I'm Twyla Whelan and this is your JIS News for Monday, September 29, 2025. Prime Minister Dr. the Most Honorable Andrew Holness has called for decisive global action on enhanced support for transnational crime and the multinational security support mission in Haiti. Dr. Holness was addressing the general debate of the 80th session of the United Nations General Assembly, UNGA 80, in New York on Friday. Highlighting the ongoing political instability, gang violence and humanitarian crises affecting the people of Haiti, Dr. Holness called for the operationalization of the recommendations made by CARICOM's Secretary General. This is to facilitate a transition to a more robust hybrid mechanism to deal with the situation in Haiti.
Once stability is restored, the international community must help rebuild democratic institutions, ensure free and fair elections, expand humanitarian relief, and invest in infrastructure to support long-term stability. Haiti's recovery requires sustained global support.
Dr. Holness argued that the crisis in Haiti exposes a broader involvement of transnational criminal networks. The realities include cybercrime, arms and narcotics trafficking, and people organizing violence and destabilizing institutions, which are an existential threat to sovereign states. The Prime Minister, meanwhile, called for a global war on gangs that aims to cut off the flow of weapons, money, and influence that sustain them.
This requires deeper engagement from all member states. We urge full implementation of the UN Programme of Action on Small Arms and Light Weapons and the International Tracing Instrument. Major arms exporting countries must tighten export controls, strengthen end-use monitoring, and ensure rigorous post-delivery verification.
Dr. Holness says despite significant progress in reducing homicide rates by 50%, the gains remain fragile if criminal networks aren't dismantled.
Jamaica welcomes cooperation with all partners in this fight, including the interdiction of drug trafficking vessels, provided that such operations are carried out with full respect for international law, human rights, and with the coordination and collaboration of the countries of the region.
Still at the UNGA 80, Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness reiterated his call for adequate climate change financing for small island developing states, which remain severely constrained by the absence of predictable and sustained access to funding. Prime Minister Holness says the global financing architecture remains fundamentally inequitable, penalizing reform-oriented economies like Jamaica with high borrowing costs while ignoring their vulnerabilities.
The promise of $100 billion annually remains unfulfilled. The Loss and Damage Fund, established at COP28, was historic, yet its initial capitalization of $800 million is grossly inadequate. Developed countries must honor their commitments and scale up climate finance, recognizing that adaptation is a necessity for the survival of small island developing states.
In other news, the company's Office of Jamaica COJ has announced further steps to strengthen its anti-money laundering framework. Chief Executive Officer and Registrar of Companies at the COJ, Shelley Leon, says this includes keen monitoring of both active and inactive companies.
We are going to be doing a massive cleanup of our registers because some dormant companies, we are finding that even though they don't make returns, they don't have an actual office that they operate from, some of them might have property. And so we're cooperating with, for example, the National Land Agency, because these dormant companies, they are a gateway for fraud to be committed.
Ms. Leon was speaking at a recent Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce press conference. Portfolio Minister Senator Aubin Hill, who was also present, agreed that dormant companies provide a loophole for fraud.
What Shelley is talking about is what the banks have always known. Frauds in bank almost invariably, not exclusively, but almost invariably happen in dormant accounts. When I ran banks, whether it was in Oman or here in Jamaica or elsewhere, we always insist that the auditors must go through. Now the auditors insist, we used to, but now they do. They have to go through the dormant accounts because that's where frauds tend to originate. So it's very important that COJ is going down that road as well.
Jamaica's Cyber Incident Response Team, JIS, has announced a major 5-year project aimed at strengthening Jamaica's cybersecurity capacity. The initiative involves the creation of a national cyber authority, which will develop cybersecurity policies, monitor cyber threats, provide skills training, and develop human capital resources. Significant focus will be placed on the education sector, starting from the primary level. Director of JIS, Lieutenant Colonel Godfrey Sterling, shared details of the plan at a JIS think tank.
What it will do, it will see, particularly with respect to the talent pipeline, curricula being developed for the primary sector and teachers being trained to deliver this curricula and the children hopefully being able to assimilate it.
Lieutenant Colonel says the information technology curriculum at the secondary school level will be updated to include cybersecurity, ensuring that when students get to university, they'll have a strong foundation in the field. At the university level, a review of all currently accredited cybersecurity programs will be undertaken with the aim of improving delivery and closing existing gaps.
Where there are gaps in the delivery of the practical aspects of these courses, we're going to also work with them to ensure that they have the equipment, the setup, and the ability to deliver hands-on training.
JIS 5-year plan will be officially launched in April 2026, with preparatory work already underway. And finally, Minister of State in the Ministry of Tourism, Tova Hamilton, will have responsibility for cruise tourism as well as legal, regulatory and legislative arrangements in the sector. That's the word from Minister Edmund Bartlett as he addressed a recent media breakfast at the Jamaica Product Exchange, JPEX, in Montego Bay.
Looking heavily at tourism ethics, destination assurance, and all those elements that enable us to have a framework for meaningful interaction between visitors and locals alike. And finally, in that area, to work with us to build out the framework for our new concept of local first, which is to enable the supply side of tourism to be fully embraced by Jamaicans first. It's a very significant development in the strategy forward for tourism.
Tourism is the heartbeat of our economy and a powerful vehicle for empowerment. Having served in this sector before, and with my background as an attorney, I bring both practical experience and a strong commitment to governance, structure, and advocacy.
And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Twyla Whelan. Thanks for watching.